Hey guys, we'll just start in 5 more minutes. In case you have any question between the webinar, you might be seeing a question mark icon at the bottom of the screen where there would be a pause, that red pause button, right? So if you would just ask any question, you can just click on this question mark, and I'll be taking questions in the webinar and after the webinar too, so we can make an interactive session. Hey, thanks for joining, Rahul, Max, Vyotek. If you can see the chat box, there's a comment there. Can you reply back there so I can know that it's visible to you? There would be a broadcaster's message in the chat. Samrat, thanks for joining. Robert, thanks for joining. So guys, we'll be starting the session, and as more people join in, we'll just take them along. So before starting this webinar, I would just like to let you know that if you want to chat, there is a chat option at the bottom of your screen, a question mark icon. You can just click over there and a chat panel would open up. So you can just drop your questions over there. I'll be just taking the questions along. So thank you everyone, first of all, joining. It's very motivating that this many people are joining here. So I can see, hey John, thanks for joining in. So today's session, we have brought in another topic for this week, that is to build your cold email funnel for recurring leads. Now, when I say recurring lead, it means the leads which you can generate repeatedly every week. So in this session, we'll learn about how you can actually automate your cold emailing stages and what are the methods and strategies that I have used I want to share with you, so we can just scale our cold emailing and make it more better. Hey Misha, thanks for joining. Hey Ritam, I can see many people joining in. So another update for you, like if you want to just chat, I repeat, there's a question mark button at the bottom of the screen. You can just click over there and you can ask your questions. So let me just move along. Well, as you know, today's topic is for cold emailing automation, making a cold email funnel. So before starting this session, I would just like to introduce myself for the people who are actually new. So I am Pradesh. I am product marketer and customer's voice at Sales Handy. I try to resolve your problems at Sales Handy, taking customers' the problems of cold emailing from your point of view. And I also help businesses grow with cold email outreach from scratch. I also help make resources like these webinars, many videos, and other resources so that you actually scale with cold emailing and you don't face any problem while using your methods or Sales Handy. So for the people who are actually new, let me just tell you that Sales Handy is a cold email automation platform, especially for lead generation purposes. So if you want to book more meetings, close more sales, you want to sell your product or services to your targeted audience, well, cold emailing is the solution for you. We have already addressed 10,000 plus businesses across the globe, made them successful, helped them start a cold email outreach from scratch, and also help them scale their outreach for further efficiency. So I would just like to throw a question here. Well, how many of you are just new to Sales Handy? So I would be just triggering a poll here. So can you just answer that? So it would be, I will have an idea. So you will seeing a poll. You can answer that question there. So let me just move along. Yes, you answered the question that what's the agenda for today? Well, like the topic of today's webinar is to automate your cold email funnel. So I'll be just sharing the strategies that I actually use to automate my cold email funnel. So in today's webinar, we'll just divide our cold emailing process in three main stages. So the first stage would be known as top of the funnel stage, and then we'll talk about the middle of the funnel. At the end of the webinar, we'll talk about how you can actually work on your bottom of the funnel. So as you can see, this is how actually I scaled from 2,000 emails to 8,000 emails, maintaining my metrics, maintaining my results. And this is how you can actually scale even to $1 million using, if you just use some strategies for automation. It's not very difficult. It's not a rocket science. You just have to experiment and repeat. But how actually I did it, right? So it's actually all about removing the guesswork from your cold emails. So it's much more important that you don't assume when you start. Well, as an example, when many people start cold emailing, after they get open rates, they start getting deliverability. They're clueless about what are the next actions to do, how they can actually optimize towards scalability. So I want to share my strategies with you. So I would just be sharing this resource. Let me just share my screen that what we would be discussing in this webinar. So I have created an action plan for you, which you can use for your cold email outreach that would be discussing in detail in this particular webinar. So I'm just sharing this resource in the chat. So just let me know when you receive it. I'm just putting it down in the chat. So just let me know if you have received this in your chat. If you can thumbs up with the emoji, or you can just comment there so I know here you received it. So just keep it open if you want on the screen to get a better idea at what I'm conveying in this webinar. So I'll be talking about that how this guide has helped me remove my guesswork and automate my cold email funnel, and how I actually bifurcated it in different stages. So let's just start. So before starting out, this would be your milestones in the webinar. The first one will talk about definitely how you can actually work on the top of the funnel, how you can actually automate your top of the funnel, how you can automate your prospecting part, how you can actually automate your deliverability, how you can actually scale your open rates, how you can remove the guesswork from that. Then we'll discuss about the middle of the funnel, at that bottom of the funnel. And the fifth part, we'll talk about that when you have automated your funnels like top, middle, and bottom, then how you can actually scale. So I'll just share with you a model that you can use, a strategy to scale your cold emailing funnel. And that then we have the Q&A session. But after every section, I'll be taking the chat. So you can just throw in your questions so I can answer that and make this much more interactive and not a long monologue. So yeah, let's just start with the first milestone here. So as you can see, the top of the funnel actually talks about prospecting and deliverability. So in the first milestone, I'll be talking about that how you can actually automate your prospecting and how you can actually set up your email accounts. But first of all, I would just like to know how much time do you spend on your prospecting? Like I've just triggered a poll. I just wanted to know from you people that how much time you spend on your prospecting part. Like maybe you spend 50% of your cold emailing time on prospecting, maybe 100%, maybe 10%. So how productive are you? Because prospecting is the most important part of cold emailing. Until and unless you have a very good target audience or leads, you can't just scale and you can't just optimize a cold email outreach. So if you have just automated this part, it would be very helpful to scale your cold email funnel. So meanwhile, you are answering. So in this milestone, we're talking about like how you can actually automate your prospecting. So automating your prospecting means that you have to, first of all, create your ICPs. Let me just share my screen again here. So this is the first milestone that I'm talking about. So as you can see in the sheet, I have already talked about your prospecting part. So you can just focus on that. So in the prospecting, there are three most important sections or three most important pointers. The first one is to create the ICPs. Then after creating the ICPs, what you have to do, you have to filter those ICPs from your database, export it into a sheet, create icebreakers, and reach it and link it with your cold email outreach tool. Whatever tool you might be using, I'll be sharing you how you can actually do it with Sales and in this webinar. So Actually, I've talked about in detail that how you can actually create your ICPs using a template. If you just open up this link on your actionable sheet, as you can see, if I just zoom it up, if you just click it, it will open up a resource for you, like how you can actually create your ICPs. So I have discussed this in detail in my previous webinar, which the link for this you can find in the comment. So I won't be discussing much more in detail about this because you can find it in that webinar, and also this sheet I'll be sharing with you. So you can just create your ICPs, and much more importantly, you have to take care of these fields that you mark for your ICPs. These fields are very much important. So after you have found your historical data, you have filled your historical data in this ICP sheet, what you have to do? You have to export this sheet and you have to input this filter into your database. Now, when I say you have to input these fields in your database, what do I actually mean? So let me just open one of my databases and let me show you how you can actually do it. So let me just open up and let me just log in first of all and then share it with you. Like, we created our ICPs, we filled it with historical data. So you have to use that fields in your database to create personalized or highly targeted list. So let me just show you how you can actually do it with your database. So here's an example how I did it with my database. So you can see there are a number of fields available. Job titles, company keywords are there. There are locations, industry keywords are there. You can also input your buying intent, and every field that you want for your ICPs, you can just input into your database. One recommendation that I would share with you, that do include company keywords, because it's much more important to have the leads with better intent. So when you will be using your databases, make sure you use such databases that provide company keywords. It would be much more better for you to scale your cold emailing funnel. So after we have done this, what we'll do, we'll just export this sheet from the database. After export, how actually it looks like. So it would look like this. Basically, your data sheet would look like this. You would be having this particular number of fields in your sheet. So after that, what you have to do, after you have created your ICPs, after you have filtered your database for your list, might be 100 people, 1,000 people, whatever. So what's next? So after you have exported your data into the Google Sheet, the fourth point is to create icebreakers. Now, how you can actually create icebreakers in this sheet? Well, you can just input another column here, and you can just use these information for every prospect, and you can use many tools like ChatGPT. You can even use Cargo.ai to make icebreakers. So what I have done here is I have actually used ChatGPT's API. You can see I have just inputted a command for ChatGPT and I have just wrote my prompt, and it just creates an icebreaker for me. But you have to train this module, because it is not sure that you'll get a very correct answer, very accurate answer at the very first time. You just have to train this module. So there are many more tools. Cargo. I'll be actually discussing this, like how you can actually create your copies, automated copies with AI in my next of the webinar. So we'll talk about everything about AI in that. But if you want to just have a brief idea that how you can actually create icebreakers, you can use ChatGPT. Even you can do it manually if you want, if your prospect size is less. If you are sending out to higher prospect counts, so you can just use, or you can automate with ChatGPT or any of the tools. So you can just automate your process. So it would reduce all of your prospecting time. So first we created ICPs, then we filtered the database, then we exported the sheet. We just have to input another column for icebreakers. One more important recommendation that I would give, that you can also include triggers here. Like, what are triggers? Like, for example, some companies having hiring, or maybe they are using some sort of CRM, or they might be using some another technology. So you can just chase them. You can use these all information in your copies, so that it becomes much more personalized. So you can just use tools like Clearbit, Inside View, High Touch. So these all tools provide you triggers. So from there, you can input the information for the triggers in your data sheet. Now, after you have done all the fields, all the icebreakers here, what you have to do, you have to just connect your Google Sheet with your cold emailing tool. Like, for example, what I do, I just connect my Google Sheet through Zapier using webhooks into Sales Handy, and it just automates it. Whenever I just add the data into my Google Sheet, it gets directly updated into my Sales Handy's cold email tool. So this is how you actually automate your prospecting, like from doing the ICP, you just filter the database. From database, you can also create integration for the Google Sheet. Like every time you just create a filter in your database, like just let me show you. Like this is these are all the saved searches. So you can also actually integrate your database with the Google Sheet, which can directly share all the data available in the Google Sheet, and then you can actually integrate this Google Sheet into your cold emailing tool, like I do for Sales Handy. Well, I do it with Zapier, with Pabbly, but there are many more tools which you can take help of to automate your outreach. You can connect your Google Sheet with your tools, that like I do with Sales Handy. So this is how you save your prospecting time. You also make sure you remove the guessworks, because these all fields that we have just discussed about in the sheet will be using in a copy, like the fields, first name, title, this employee, industry, your website link, your company, even icebreakers. We can use icebreakers as fields in a cold email copy. So we'll make sure that we have the copy ready into our cold email platform, and at the time we just input our fields directly from Google Sheet into a cold email tool. All the fields get directly updated. So this is how you automate your first part of the funnel. So prospecting is very much important. Like now, when we are done with prospecting part, we are done with the ICPs, we are done with exporting the data, we are done with creating the icebreakers, and we have also automated and linked our sheet with our cold emailing tool. So what's next? So now you have to make sure how many prospects you want to reach out to. So for that, you can just go into the sheet again, and you can see, like after this creating ICPs and creating icebreakers, what you can do is you can just click on this and it will open up another sheet for you. Well, this is email account calculator for you. Well, you can just input here, like for example, if you want to reach out to 25,000 prospects, and you can decide, and you can just decide your timeline. Let's say I want to reach out to them in 15 days. So what's the sending limit? Like for per day, I would be needing 1600 emails to send them, right? And for that, I would be needing 33 email accounts. So this is how you make sure that how many prospects, how many email accounts you need for your outreach. So this is important, because for the next funnel, the next stage of the funnel, when we'll discuss about deliverability, this comes very important. So this calculator will help you that how much email you should send, because it is recommended that you send 50 emails per email account per day. So in order to sustain your sender's reputation and also to get better deliverability and results. At the same, on the other hand, you can also compare it with other ESPs sending limit. Like for example, if you want to test, like if you're using GoDaddy's ESP to send your email, so GoDaddy's limit is 500. So how many emails do you actually need to send? 500 emails daily. So it just comes to 5, but it is not recommended that you follow this limit. Stick to 50 emails per email account per day in order to get better deliverability. So this is how this all model works when you send your email in this manner. So I would just strongly recommend you that you follow this process, and you don't send more than 50 email accounts per email per day in order to gain your results. So this is the better way to do it. Now, when we just move along in this sheet, when I talk about the icebreakers, so you can use LinkedIn's post data from the sheet. You can use websites data. You can use maybe ICPs, your prospects, YouTube videos, and you can just also include that if it's a mutual friend, you can just include that also into your icebreaker. So I have just included the actions, that how you can actually experiment with your icebreakers too. And for the ICPs, you can see, like you can segment your ICPs into different segments, like for different contract values, might be for different job titles. And in the icebreakers, as I already discussed, triggers and all the available fields in your Google Sheet, you can just use to make your icebreakers unique, and you can just test another. You can just test many copies of it, like what's working and what's not working for you. Now, as we move along, like we finished our first milestone where we talked about how you can actually do your prospecting, how you can actually automate your prospecting part. You can how much email accounts do you need? So I would just invite some questions. Do you have any questions about this top of the funnel? I just answer that. I'll just pause it for 1 minute so I can just take your questions. So to ask any questions, you can just go at the bottom of your screen and click on the question mark icon. A chat panel would open up and you can just ask questions here. Hey, Ritam, I can just see your chat here. Ritam, can you just see the chat here? Anyone, if you have any questions, any queries, you can just drop in here so I can answer them. So let me just move along. And as we completed our first milestone, now let's just jump on to the second part of the funnel, that is middle of the funnel. Well, sorry, we'll just talk about the top of the funnel, phase two. Like your top funnel is divided in two parts. The first part for prospecting and second part for deliverability and open rates. So let's just talk about the second part of your top of the funnel. Like after we have done with the prospecting, creating ICPs, automating your part of sending your data lead into your cold emailing tool and setting up your email accounts. Now, what you have to do, the next step is to gain deliverability. Like if you can just see in the sheet, after prospecting, you have to make sure that you gain at least 95% deliverability in 15 days. So how you can actually do it? In one of my last webinars, I talked about that how you can actually reach 99% deliverability in just span of 15 days by using the method of ramp up. So if you want to know in detail, you can just go and click on this webinar after this session, and you'll find a detail how you can actually do it with effectiveness. So if you have to automate your deliverability, like for example, we just calculated how many email accounts are needed for you. So let's just say for 20,000 email accounts, we needed 50 email accounts, right? To send 20,000 prospects. So now what? Now your email accounts are new. You just can't send emails at the same time to everyone, because it will harm your sender's reputation and it would also give a blow to your deliverability. So what we will do is, to maintain the deliverability, we will just start the ramp up at 15%. We will automate our deliverability audit. We'll target that in the span of 15 days, every email account receives 95% deliverability, and we just create a multiplier effect. So let me just tell you in detail about these all points. Like first of all, what's ramp up? So if you just open this sheet, you'll find a sheet attached to it. Like for deliverability, if you just click over here, it will open up another sheet for you. That's a deliverability scale. Well, it's a second tab in the same sheet of email account calculator. So whatever number you decide for your email accounts, like let's say you chose 30,000 emails or 30,000 prospects. So it would just give you a number here, like after 15 days. So here's the limit. Like for example, for 30,000 prospects, you need at least 2,000. You have to send at least 2,000 emails per day from 40 email accounts. So for those 40 email accounts to reach this sending limit, what you have to do is you have to ramp your email at 15%, and at 13 to 15th day, you'll be getting your sending limit. So how you can actually do it? So let me just share you. So this is the dashboard of Sales Handy. So what you have to do, you just have to add all your email accounts here. So you can just use add email account. So you'll find you can do it via SMTP. You can also import your email accounts via CSV if you are adding more than 50 or any large number of email accounts. So you don't have to do it manually. You can also do it via native integration of Google, Microsoft. So it makes it easy. Like for example, you can see I have this many email accounts added to my Sales Handy account. Now, whenever your email accounts are new, to gain the deliverability, just click on this email account, and from here you can see here's an option to ramp your settings. Like you just have to go at the bottom, and you can see here's a button toggle on. You just have to toggle it on, and it would just ramp your emails slowly for every day. Like for example, if you're starting out with 10%, it would start from 2 to 3 emails every day, and at the end of 15th day, you'll be having the particular sending limit that we desire to send from a particular number of email accounts to a particular number of prospects. So this is how you reach your sending limit. This is a very human way of reaching your daily sending limit, and also you can make sure that your limit is kept below 50 or 50 for each email account. And you can just also adjust your time interval between the emails so that ESPs don't catch you like for a spammer or for any suspicious activity. So this is how you actually automate your ramp up process that I actually discussed in here. Like whenever you put up your emails for ramp up, it would be 13th or 15th day when you will be reaching your daily sending limit. So this is how you can actually automate this via Sales Handy, increasing your daily sending limit every day. Now, after we are done with the ramp up part, what you have to do, you have to make sure like you reach 95% deliverability. And for that, what you have to do, you have to use Glock Apps automation. Now, what's Glock Apps automation? I have talked about Glock Apps automation in detail into my last webinar. You can just go and see. Glock Apps is a tool. Let me just show you here quickly. Like Glock Apps allows you to automate your deliverability. You can just go here and you can just make your email account. Oh, sorry, you can just make your account and see what's there. So it helps you create reports for your outreach, whatever outreach you do. So you can see here lots of reports available here. So you can just go and see that what number of email accounts are going into spam and what number of email accounts are going into inboxes. So you have the insights and you can actually increase the deliverability. And for the 15 days ramp up, you have to make sure that every email lands into inbox, or at least 95% of email lands in your inbox. So Glock Apps deliverability audit helps you to know like what are the scopes of improvement. You might be wanting to improve on your content, your accounts, or your maybe your sending pattern, or whatever the areas are there. Glock Apps deliverability audit would help you to know. So this is how we actually reach 95% deliverability in 15 days at 15% ramp up. So this was the thing, guys, to automate your top of the funnel second part, like deliverability. So now what's multiplier effect? Like just sending emails with deliverability and enabling your ramp up is good. But what's more luxurious is when you have multiplier effect. Like for example, if you're sending emails to 100 people per day. So what if all your copies are same? Like even if you use a merge tags, ESPs have their way of knowing that you are sending same copies to everyone. So multiplier effects actually helps you create unique copies for every user. So it ultimately helps your deliverability and it allows ASPs to know that you are a trustworthy sender and you are a human and you are not a robot. So how you can actually do it? So you have to use print text and merge steps along with your copy. So let me just show you what print text and merge text are. So you can just visit Sales Handy's articles here. Let me just log in and let me just show you what it's all about. So here's the tab. Let me just open it. Yeah. Yeah. So you can just go on the FAQs and you can just type in Spintex here. What you can see that it will give you recommendation for your Spintex article. So Spintex is actually a tag which starts from spin and ends from end spin, and it allows you to input one or more or three more keywords into your copy. So what it does is it helps you create variations of the same sentence or the same paragraph into different variations. Like for example, if you use, let me just show you, if you use two spin text in your paragraph, and if you use three keywords into a particular spin text, like for example, we are using three, so we are using three spin texts, three keywords into a spin text. So what it would do is it would allow you to create 54 different variants of your cold emails. So ESPs now know that you are sending unique emails to every prospect. Your copy is different, your CTAs are different, your intro lines are different. So this is how you actually strengthen your deliverability, and this is how we automate the part of your deliverability at the top of the funnel. Now, as we automated our prospecting, we knew that how we can actually calculate the number of email accounts. We can use sender rotation for that. And also we talked about how you can actually reach the deliverability in 15 days just by automating it by ramping it up, and also automating your deliverability audits. Like every day you are receiving notifications from Glock Apps, like this many emails are landing into inbox, and what are the actions that you need to take to improve your deliverability rate. So after that, what you have to do, well, we reached 95% deliverability. Now, what's the next step? Well, it's to improve your open rates. Well, that's an action in the top of the funnel second part, like you have to improve your open rates. So ultimately, at the end of the day, it's all about eliminating the guesswork. Well, that's no definite formula like what can work for you. You have to experiment a lot, but here are three main suggestions for you. Like, keep your subject lines, because open rates are all about your deliverability, and it's all about your subject lines. Because even if you reach your prospects inboxes, your emails just get flooded and they get lost in the ocean of all the other emails, and there's no visibility. In order to have your visibility, you have to make sure your subject lines are engaging, they are short, they are curious, they are genuine, they're helping. There is no spam keyword, like no free, there's no push to promote yourself, or there's no pitch for any sales. So let's make sure that no spam keyword is there into your subject line. And ultimately, you have to test different versions in the variants. Like, if I just share this resource with you, so you can see here's a branch that comes from deliverability to the open rate. So you can see for the subject lines, you have to experiment a lot. So what you can do, you can experiment your subject lines. Like, you can experiment it with introductions, you can ask a question, you can maybe learn more about the prospect, you can address a pain point. This is how you actually make sure you do good subject lines. So this is, you can just create different copies with different subject lines to know that what's actually working for you. Let me just open this sheet which is linked here. So it would just open up another sheet for you. So here it is. You can just change the tab and go to open rates here. So what I have done this, I have shared with you the subject lines that I have tested with different approaches. So for open rates, in order to automate your testing, just don't try different copies for your subject lines. Make sure you try different approaches. Like, for example, you can try to introduce yourself. You can just include a merge tag and maybe a question. You can also offer a benefit. You can directly address a pain point. So these all subject lines actually help you to know that what approach is actually working for you. So it is very important that you create multiple variants for you. Like in Sales Handy, you can use A to Z testing for it. Well, A to Z testing allows you to create multiple variations of your copies. Let me just give you an example here. So as you can see here, yeah, here are the variants. So this is the B variant. You can just add as many as variant you want, up to 26 copies. So you can just use n number of copies you want to test. And this is how you actually reach your deliverability with good open rates. So let me just share the tab for the slide again. So we talked about automating your top of the funnel. We also talked about automating your deliverability and open rates. So as we just scale our, as we just automate the first part of the funnel, so the question is, now you start getting the open rates. Like, for example, you have 95% deliverability and your open rates are more than 50%. So we have to make sure we get more than 50% open rates. Now, what after that? You start getting open rates. So now it enters you into the next arena of the middle of the funnel. That is how you can actually achieve your reply rates, and most importantly, positive reply rates. So let's just talk about the third milestone here. But before, I would just like to throw a poll for you. Like, I just want to know how much open rates are you getting here. So you can just answer this poll. So I just have a question that how much difficult is for you to test different subject lines or automate a deliverability for different open rates. So you can just answer the question. I'll just be pausing for a minute. So I can see like many of the people are getting less than 30% or less than 50% open rates. So yeah, that's a scope for deliverability for the people who are actually getting less than 50% open rates. I guess you should work on your deliverability part. I'm sorry, you should work upon your subject lines, and the people who are actually getting less than 30% of open rate, there's a bad need of working on your deliverability, like automating your deliverability, ramping it up, and following the practices that the clock apps give you in the audits. So let's just move and let's just talk about the next section here. So here's your third milestone. Like, we automated the first part of the funnel, we automated the second part of the funnel. Now we are talking about middle of the funnel. That is how you can actually automate your funnel for reply rates. So what you have to do, like we discussed about the fields that we gonna use for the Google Sheet. Like from the Google Sheet, we talked about that these are the fields that we exported from the database, and we just created the triggers. We also created the icebreakers here. So you have to make sure that every of this field is now available into your cold emailing tool. Like the copies that you are using into sales, like for example in Sales Handy, I'll just show you an example. What you can do is uh, you can just see like here are some merge tags already available. Here are some spin texts already available. So you have to make sure you write a copy which is already there with the particular merge tags that we are using into the in the Google Sheets. So this way you automate your role. You don't have to just go and manually input your sheet, and you just have to adjust and rewrite your merge tags and spin tags. Make sure all your different copies for different variants are there with the same merge tags that you use in the Google Sheet. Now, what's the key to getting high open rate, or sorry, high reply rates? It's about experimenting with your content type, and it's actually experimenting with the offers and CTAs too. Like, let me just jump on this again, and here we come for the deliverability. Sorry, for the reply rates part. The most important thing is to play with your copies. To crack the code for replies after you are getting good open rates is to experiment with your content, is to experiment with your offers, and make sure that every copy that you test, like for example, if you are testing 5 copies with different subject lines, maybe with different content, like you can use plain text, maybe in some copies you can just test gifs and images too, and you can just use different offers to, like either you are increasing the revenue or reducing the cost for the prospect. You may be solving a critical problem, so you have to make sure like what's your end goal. So this also helps you write a better copy when you have a very clear end goal. This I have already discussed in detail in my previous webinar, like in my first webinar. So here is the link for that. You can just go and see what are the questions that you should ask yourself before starting out with any outreach. So these are the things that you have to make sure that while you write the copies. And for every copy, make sure you keep one CTA. It's very important that you test different CTAs for each copy. Why I'm saying this? Because experimenting is the only key. So let me just show you an example that how experimentation works. So I just experimented with few of the offers here. Like for example, you can see in the above cold email, I just offered the prospects $100 coupon, right? My reply rate was around 18%. Like in the second part of the copy, I just replaced it with some value. Like for example, I didn't offer them the money, but I offered them a value instead. Like I said, I would give you visibility and I would just expose you with the audience for your better marketing purposes. So you can see the reply rate shot up to 42%. So this is how experimentation actually works. So you have to make sure like what's working for you. So whenever you're working for the reply rates, make sure you experiment with the content, make sure you experiment with your offers with different copies, and keep one CTA per copy. This is much more important. So here's another example for you. For the CTA, it was for the offer. Now I'm just sharing you an example for the CTA. So whatever fields you are using from the Google Sheet, keep them same, but you can just change the CTAs and the offers. Like for example, the copy is same. You can see in the first and second, the copy is same, just CTA is different. So in the first one, I just tested like how people react to direct meetings. If I just ask about for a quick chat or maybe a meeting, so how they actually react, we can see it was decent, 7%, but not that up to the mark. In the second copy, I just replaced the CTA with a guide, like a valuable guide for which they can actually make decisions if they want to meet with me or not. So you can see my reply rate shot up to 25%. So this is how you can actually experiment with your content and get your reply rate. Well, reply rates actually depend upon your industries. Like I won't say there is any standard formula. Like we can just say like you should get 10% reply rate or 15% reply rate. Like in the case of open rates, we strongly say that you should have 50% open rates, but reply rates actually depend on industries. So you have to make sure that in what industry are you actually working in. So it would broadly depend on that, but you have to keep experimenting to bring the replies. After you got the open rates, you have to make sure you get the reply rates. Now when we talk about the reply rates, it's also very important to talk about the positive reply rate, because that's a game changer of your whole cold email funnel. Like we automated the first part, we automated the second part, now we are automating the third part. So we'll just now talk about another milestone here. It's about increasing the bookings with positive reply rates. So I'll just pause here for a minute. If you have any questions, you can just drop in the chat. I'll be just answering them. Yeah, Samrat. So for from where I can access the mind map. Yeah, I've just dropped it in the chat, Samrat. I'll be just dropping it again. Yeah, here you go. Here is it. Did you get it? Just reply me back so I can know. Anyone has any question, you can just drop it. Well, I'll be sharing all the resources to you after this webinar, like recording those webinar. There's all the resources. So you don't worry about that you would be missing anything. So let me just move ahead with the next section. It's about the positive reply rates. Now we automated the first part of the funnel, like your prospecting, your deliverability, your email accounts. We also automated how to get open rates, like for the actions, that removing the guesswork around there. And now we also talked about how you can actually receive good reply rates with experimentation, experimenting with your copies, experimenting with your offers and CTAs. Now, what's more important is that how you actually book your reply, how you actually book your meetings, and it depends upon your positive reply rates. When we say bookings, it almost depends upon everything with the intent of your conversations. To make sure like you are getting good replies, now you have to measure certain metrics here. Now let me just jump again onto this uh, resource here. So now we are start now let's say we start getting replies. So now we have to qualify with intent. So what's the first action here? So to remove the guesswork, what you have to do, you have to qualify with intent. So how you can actually do it? What's qualification with intent? So here you can see in Sales Andy, we have unified inbox, and for every conversation that is received, like unified inbox actually helps you to maintain all of your inboxes at certain place. Like you don't have to go and search between different inboxes. Like for example, you talked about you are sending 20,000 emails, and for that you are using 50 email accounts, so you just can't go in every email account and check your conversations, right? So unified inbox helps you collect all of your replies at one place, and with the help of AI, whenever a conversation lands in the unified inbox, tells you that what might be the intent of the prospect. Like for example, in this case, you can see when this conversation landed into the inbox, it just marked it as interested by getting the intent of the conversation. So qualifying with intent helps you organize your leads, and it helps you to save the efforts, like how much efforts you should pay on different leads. So you don't end up giving efforts to every of the conversation. Like for example, you receive 10 replies, so you don't have to give that much efforts to every conversation. Qualify with intent. So the first part is to categorize with the people who are actually interested to talking with you. Like you received a good reply with you, like someone is interested in an offer, you or they might have asked you for a guide, or maybe for a brochure, or maybe some for social proof. So these are the kind of intent which actually falls into positive replies. You can also get some neutral replies too, like for example, who are not very sure about what they have to do with the offer. And the third one is the people who are actually not interested in your offer at all. And the fourth category is the people who are actually interested in an offer. They might be in your niche, they might be your target audience, but they have no urgency. Like for example, they might be having some commitment issues with the on existing products they have. They might be they might have signed up some annual contracts. So you can actually reach out them later. So how to deal with with the intent of your prospect? So whenever you start getting replies, just categorize them in these categories. Now, let's say, for example, you are getting 100 replies, and out of that, only 50% are positive replies, right? So it means it's a good sign. If you're getting 50% of positive reply rates, or more than 50% positive reply rate, it's a time to scale. It means your ICP segment, like whatever we discussed about here, it's good. your copies with your open rates are good. Yeah, your subject lines are good. Your reply rate, your reply copies are also good. It means your offer, your CTAs are working for you. So what you have to do, you just have to scale here. Just increase your efforts and bring more replies. Now, what if you are getting 33% reply rates? So, or less than 33% positive reply rates, I'm saying. Out of 100, you are just getting 33% people who are actually interested to listen to your offer. It means there's something wrong with your CTA. So, if you just suffering from this, just play with your CT again. You just can go and you can just work on this part. Maybe you can try different approach of your keyword, maybe some direct, maybe some question, maybe a value. So just see that what's the reason behind that people are not actually clicking on your, or they are not agreeing, or they are very less people are interested. So if you are getting less than 33% or 33% reply rates, it might be the reason your CTAs are not good. Now, let's say you're getting less than 33% reply rates. It was for the 33% and 33, between 33 and 50%. Now, let's say your positive reply rates are less than 33%. It means your offer is not working for you. So what you have to do, you have to just go again on the previous branch, and you have to make sure that you work on these three sections here. And also, you can also work on your content, and like the what offer are you actually you are writing in the copy. So just make sure your offers are good, because I have seen, like, if we are receiving less than 33% reply rates, positive replies, there's always something with your offers. Now let's say, what if we are just getting 20% positive replies or 10% positive replies? It means there is something wrong with your ICPs. So we'll just jump back onto the first part here, that is creating your ICPs. Like you might have chosen some wrong titles for your outreach, or you might have just guessed wrong about the segments, or your target audience might not be fit for you. So just go and make some changes into your ICPs to see good reply or positive replies here. So this is how you can actually remove the guesswork from your cold emails. Like, you don't have to assume, like, if someone is not responding, don't waste your efforts. Just go and see your numbers, what your numbers tell you. Data reveals everything. So this is how you actually will be going ahead. Now let's say, what about the category we talked about for the neutral replies? So for them, you have to send manual follow-ups. Like, schedule it at least two or three follow-ups in span of 1 month. If there is someone who is actually interested, they're neutral, they're not showing any urgency, or they might also not show some active interest, but they are somewhat into your niche, and you can maybe convert to them if you talk to them. So just follow them up manually in a span of 1 month. At least send them two or three replies, follow-ups. Now, what to do with the people who are actually not interested in your offer? So these might be the audience who might not be your ICPs, or they might not like your offer. Might be your pricing is high, might be they are using some other competitors, or they have some trust issues. So what you can do, don't leave them alone. Every lead that you generate from cold emailing, engage with them. So you have to re-engage with the lost leads. How you can actually do it? So it's much more recommended that you follow them with a different domain. Don't use the same domain that you used to chase them a month ago, or maybe 15 days ago, or maybe 2 months ago. So just use a different URL, different secondary domain. Offer them some case studies, show them some FOMO. Maybe you can just propose an offer. So this is how you can actually re-engage your lost leads again into your funnel. And this is how it helps you to make your funnel much more automated. And your retention rate is quite high. Like, you don't miss out on any of the leads. And let me just tell you, like, how you can actually deal with the people who are actually showing no urgency to you. So if people are not showing urgency, like they tell you like the budget is not enough for your tool, so just follow them up at different interval of time. Maybe for the next quarter, just keep looking at their company triggers, at what time they change the budget, or maybe you can just read their LinkedIn post and you can just follow them up after a month or quarter. So this is how you engage with the lost leads, and you make sure you get good positive reply rates. Now we talked about this all, guys. So I just pause it here, and just I would just like to ask you, like, how much positive reply rates you are getting. So let me just throw you another poll, and just let me know that how much of your replies are getting more than 50% positive replies, or how many of your replies are just getting below 30%. So I just have an idea that how you people are dealing with it. Or meanwhile, you if you have any questions, you can just drop it. I can answer. So I can see someone has voted for 30% reply, positive reply rates. It means you have to play with your CTAs. So I'm talking about the positive replies. Let's get okay. If you're getting 10% of them, so I would suggest like you work on your ICPs that I actually talked about in this sheet here. So you can just jump on this first part, prospecting part, and you can work on your ICPs. So guys, this was the milestone for the reply rates, and the last but not the least part of this funnel after getting the positive reply rate is to do a win and loss analysis. Like whatever leads you are getting, how you can actually analyze them. So this is the way you do it. Like you can say like this many people were actually interested in your offer and you just book this many meetings. So this figures will tell you what's wrong with your outreach and what are the things that you need to take care of. So this is how you automate your positive reply rates, your funnel, your pipeline. So guys, this was the third part of the funnel that we actually automated. We talked about first, like how we can do it with your deliverability, your open rates, your prospecting. We talked about your reply rates. We also talked about how you can actually get a good booking rate through automation if you just qualify the intent of your positive replies or your replies. Now, what's next? Like you start getting 95% of your deliverability, you start getting 50% of your open rates, and now you start getting 50% of your positive reply rates. So what's next? What you have to do? So it's time to scale. So you just can click on this, or you can just visit on your Whimsicles flow here, and you can just click on the reach benchmarks. So it would just open a sheet for you. So here you can see like whenever you have reached to this particular benchmarks, like your deliverability is more than 95%, your reply rate is more than your positive reply rate is more than 50%, your booking rate depends upon your positive reply. So it's time, like your copies are working, your open rates are working, your deliverability is good. It's time to scale. Now, whenever you scale, like for example, I scaled from 2,000 prospects to 8,000 prospects. So what I did, I scaled and I repeated this process again. Like I again ramped up for 15 days. I again tried to reach for 95% deliverability because my number of email accounts are new, right? It's more than what I used to send earlier, right? It's now 160 email accounts. So again, I have to follow the same process of ramp up. Again, I have to follow the same process of deliverability, automating it. Again, playing with the copies because now you're reaching out to broader audience. So the numbers can change. So again, you have to test it out. So this is how you actually automate your funnel, and you can scale it up every time you do, just repeat and scale. And ultimately you can do it for up to $1 and $10 million. This model actually helps you scale up to larger figures there. So this is how you actually do it, guys. So to make sure to compare your metrics, your deliverability should be 95% at the end of everything. You're automating a funnel. Reply rate, as I said, it depends upon your industry, but positive reply rates should be greater than 50%. Your open rates must be greater than 50% to have good deliverability and good visibility in your prospects inbox. Well, bookings, it depends upon the industry use case, but it highly depends upon your positive replies. So these are the benchmarks you have to take into consideration before scaling. So this is how you actually scale, guys. And we already talked about the win and loss analysis. Like in Sales Andy, it gives you a very precise reporting, like how you can actually do it. So in the win and loss analysis, after you have automated your funnel, what you have to do for the win, you have to ask yourself that what was your contract value and what's your time to convert, at how faster are your leads converting. And for the loss, why they rejected you was your pricing too high, or your ICPs were not urgent enough. It means you have to work in a band your means your intent and your purchase intent of your prospects, or is it not a good fit for you? So this is all the subjects of your ICPs when you do the loss analysis. So this helps you to make sure you stay on the metrics. So this was the resource, guys, that I prepared for you, which I actually use to scale my outreach. So it would help you around to automate all your funnels and everything that you do for your cold email outreach. So it's a time for the final Q&A. If you guys have any questions about anything in this webinar, so I can just answer it. So Misha has a question here, like I'm getting replies, not interested on my email account, but it doesn't get tracked onto Sales Handy. So I guess you are facing some issues with your unified inbox, Misha. Can I know how many email accounts have you connected with your unified inbox? Can you just reply into the chat? Okay. If it's any problem with your reply tracking, I can just connect with you after this webinar. I can just email and I can just get in touch with the success team so they can see like what's the problem there. Well, yeah, if you want to send like for a particular outreach, you can just calculate how many email accounts you need for your sending. Yes, Samrat, I'll be creating more resources around that, how you can actually do automations with Sales Handy, particularly like webhooks, using different CRMs and using the AI. And we'll be doing a webinar on that, maybe next to next week. On that, I'll be particularly talking about how you can actually use AI and all the automation parts. Thanks, Misha. So guys, any more questions you have about the cold email funnel or anything that's troubling you? Because cold email funnel actually lets you scale. It's all about the process. Well, I'll be sending you the recording, Samrat. Actually, we upload all these recordings onto our YouTube channel. If you can just go and access all the recordings of the past webinars, and for this webinar also on YouTube channel. I'll be also emailing you the link after this webinar, all the resources, so you don't miss it out. So guys, as I told, it's all about the process that you follow. It's never about some copy. It's never about one particular formula that you use. It's always about the process, that how you actually grow with time. And it's a basic, these all are the basic things that you can do. You don't need any specialized cold email expertise in that. You can just follow basics and you can just scale it up. Thanks, Norins. Thank you very much. So guys, we can just wrap it up. I'll in 2 or 3 minutes. So if you have any more questions, I can answer. And who are people who are actually new to Sales Handy, you can just go sign up and see that what are the features available there and how you can actually automate your things that I discussed here. You can also reach out me on pritesh@saleshandy.com, where you can ask me if you have anything about funnel, cold emailing, any strategy. I can just help you out. Everyone would have access to that mind map, right? Yeah, that's a resource that you should stick with. Like, try to automate it, try to input your methods too. You can also share like if there are any strategies that's working for you, I can also apply it and I can share with the community too. So if you're not in the Facebook community, I would advise you to join the Facebook community. We keep on talking on these type of topics and I keep on sharing resources there. So if you're not part of Facebook Sales Handy's community, just do join it. So guys, thank you very much for joining. I think all the questions are done here. And thank you for joining very much. It was very motivating that you people join and share your questions. So it also helps me. Share the community link. Yeah, let me just share you, Samrat. Wait, it's Cold Email Mastery, and I'm just sharing it in the chat. Yeah, here you go. So you can just go and I'll approve you. Yeah, you can just send the request there. I'm the admin there. Yeah, I'll just approve your request. So this is there you can also put your questions. Yeah. So guys, thank you very much for joining. And I'll be sharing you the links for the next webinars too. Maybe we can talk about the AI and automation, particularly with the Sales Handy there. So I'll be just sharing you the topics every week and links to the webinars. So thank you very much for joining and have a nice day. And thank you much for joining. So bye. See ya.